After we crossed the Atlantic Ocean from Europe to the Caribbean, many of you guys asked what the main differences between sailing in these two cruising grounds are, and most importantly, which one is better. Now that we have a bit more experience of cruising in the Caribbean, we can finally confidently reply to that question. We will try to be as objective as we can because ultimately, neither cruising ground is better than the other. It's up to you to decide whether you'd prefer to cruise in the Mediterranean or in the Caribbean. First of all, let's look at the weather in both places and how it affects your sailing. In the Med and good part of the Atlantic coast of Europe, you will have 4 to 5 good months a year to cruise at a comfortable temperature. The weather can be unpredictable year-round, and strong winds and storms are common, especially in the shoulder seasons. Most people fly home in the winter or stay put in a marina. A few more adventurous people sail in their cold weather gear and keep a close eye on the forecast, ready for that inevitable storm to come. In Europe, the wind blows from all directions, sometimes changing in the middle of the night or multiple times a day, meaning that people at anchor need to move anchorage often. A crust swell also seems to happen more often in the Med, as the wind changes happen quickly. In the Caribbean, the weather is much the same for the whole year, with hot and windy days most of the time. You will almost always be able to sail. Hurricane season runs from June till the end of November, and most people either fly home or live aboard at anchor on islands considered outside of the hurricane belt. A few more daring cruisers sail around the islands, keeping an eye on the forecast to escape from hurricanes, or they leave at anchor in or near hurricane holes. Hurricanes and tropical storms tend to be more destructive and dangerous than the bad weather typical of wintertime in Europe. In the Caribbean, the wind is usually from either northeast, east, or southeast. The wind can turn to the southwest or north if a tropical storm affects the area, but this usually subsides quickly, leaving only the swell to worry about. This allows cruisers to spend long periods of time anchored in the same well-protected bay if they wish to do this. However, during the cruising season, some islands are affected by swell coming from far-off storms affecting the USA. The currents in the Caribbean are a lot stronger than in the Mediterranean, but weaker than the ones in North Atlantic Europe. Planning a passage requires good knowledge of the current and tide timing, especially if you're traveling upwind. In Europe, culture, history, food, and crystal clear water are the main attractions for visitors. In order to enjoy sailing in Europe to the fullest, you need to get off your boat and go explore on land. Walking on cobbled streets, people watching from a cafe, and eating delicious Mediterranean food for cheap are a big part of cruising here. In the Caribbean, hiking in tropical forests and doing water sports such as scuba diving, snorkeling, and kite surfing are the most fun things to do. There are a few historical sites to visit, and the food is less varied and generally lower quality than in Europe. However, the palm tree-lined beaches always make up for an incredible sight, and the underwater life is simply more fascinating. Cruising in both the Mediterranean and the Caribbean can be costly, depending on your cruising style. For example, if you plan to sail from marina to marina in the Med, you could accrue a huge mooring bill. In the Caribbean, if you need to do lots of repairs to your boat, you could spend a significant amount. In the Mediterranean, marina and yard stays are usually expensive, although there are some more budget-friendly options such as Almerimar. Spending all year in anchorages would mean moving around a lot due to the frequent changes in wind direction. Groceries are excellent quality and low cost. Boat parts can be ordered for a good price, and you are never too far from somewhere where you can buy what you need. In the Caribbean, all countries charge for checking in and a cruising permit. Groceries are more costly and less varied, and eating out can be expensive, especially if you don't choose a rustic local place. A lot of the foods are frozen to allow for shipping in, so you may want to invest in a freezer before you arrive. Boat parts are a lot more costly in the Caribbean, and you will often have to order them from abroad, adding a costly shipping and duty fee to the original price. Buying clothes, technology, sport gear, and more can be challenging on many islands, so it's wise to budget for a yearly trip to a developed country if you can. Yards and marinas tend to be expensive, but you can use mooring fields. Also, you can anchor out for free in a well-protected anchorage without moving for a long time. Luckily, boat repair facilities are fairly good, and there are islands such as St. Martin where you can arrange for cheaper boat work to be carried out. Whether you are in the Mediterranean or the Caribbean, you may have to pay for health insurance depending on your nationality. The healthcare system in Europe is a lot more advanced than the one in the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, as there are lots of small islands, you may need to be evacuated to a better equipped hospital. In the Med, you deal with immigration a lot less as countries are fairly big. In the Caribbean, the countries are a lot smaller, so you have to check into a new territory more often. Immigration costs, visas, and cruising permits are a standard requirement of entering a Caribbean country. In the Med, if you need to go see immigration and pay for a visa, you won't be required to pay for a cruising permit other than in Greece. Finding water in the Mediterranean is a lot easier. Just use a public tap to fill up your jerry cans or pay a small fee in a marina to top up your tanks. In the Caribbean, many islands collect rainwater, and the only option to get water is to collect it yourself or to find a rare dock, waterboat, or marina. In Europe, you will be able to find countless marinas and many yards in every country. Boat moorings tend to be available to residents and local fishermen only. The big choice is probably what allows some marinas to offer competitive prices or winter deals. In the Caribbean, there are less marinas and yards. Some countries don't even have a yard. However, moorings are often available to charterers and cruisers alike. In fact, these tend to be a popular option for hurricane season. The lack of boat storage options means most yards and marinas are priced similarly. So these are the differences between cruising the Caribbean and Europe. They are both lovely places to live on a sailboat, but there are downsides to each. Whichever place you choose depends on your preferences, needs, plans, and budget.